And recording this come here. Okay, and we're recording. Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about? It's your meeting.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of things, man.
Okay.
So, well, first of all, just want to introduce myself. So,
Please.
first of all, it's great to meet you. And I think during one of the company calls, I was able to introduce myself and ask one of the questions in the chat. So I started on February 25th. And so, right now, what I'm responsible for is competitive intelligence.
Mm.
Now, what does that mean from a GitLab perspective?
I had to Google that. Honestly, like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean? So I Googled that like 5 minutes before, but please
Yeah.
tell
So
me what that means.
what that means is twofold. So I have pretty much two directions or two major efforts that I'm going to be involved with pretty much throughout my, tenure here. So um, one is, of course, with our DevOps tools landscape comparisons page, is to really maintain that and kind of
Okay.
cultivate that to an area where it can be this destination for anyone or any team that needs to understand what's going on, what are the tools available in the DevOps community,
Right.
compare that to GitLab, of course, as you know. And my goal is to drive folks to that. So that's part of it.
Do you mean GitLabbers or both external, internal folks? What do you mean by?
External and external. So
Okay.
anyone that's on the web and they're looking for, let's say they type in, CloudBees, or
Right.
how
Okay.
does CloudBees versus GitLab or
Right.
GitHub
Right.
and CloudBees, to come to our site to be able to get an unbiased, honest viewpoint of our capabilities and the
Sure.
capabilities of the competing tools within those various stages.
Makes sense.
Right. So my goal is to help maintain that.
Okay.
The other half,
Well, to create it first, because
yeah,
you have a lot of work to cut out for you right
yeah,
now.
that's a big elephant to chew, man. So even one bite at a time is going to take a minute on that one. So the other is for our sales force. So what they
Okay.
need is information in terms of how do we compete against
Okay.
various tool
Right.
chains, right? So they need information in terms of objection handling,
Okay.
what our messaging is.
So very tactical, like on the ground, to get this question, how should they answer it? Type of thing.
Right, exactly,
Wow. Okay. Oh,
exactly.
I like that. Okay.
And also, how do we compare in these particular areas? Not necessarily from a feature standpoint, but why would a customer either want to transition to us, or why would they want to stay with a particular competitor, right? So
Right.
they understand our strengths and weaknesses, so they can go in armed with and be able to have the right conversations with the right personas.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So, and also create those battle cards they can use internally with information from a sales perspective that we don't necessarily want to share with the outside world.
Yep.
So my goal is to evaluate competitive intelligence tools that'll help curate that information,
Okay.
push it to sales, and have them at least be able to not only have that information, but be able to have it in a central location, but have it linked to Salesforce so they can bring up, okay, if I'm going up against competitor
Oh,
X,
wow.
Y,
Okay. I didn't even think about that. Okay.
yeah, be able to pull it up directly, and all the information that's been curated and on the battle cards that
Right.
updated. They don't have to keep hopping from tool to tool or hopping in Slack
Right.
or going to email. They just go to one location. So
Okay.
that's part of my directive. So I'm evaluating a couple of tools for that.
So it's a quick
So
question there. So you would even I don't know if sales team is already doing this, but you would probably want them to start even documenting those conversations in structured data so that like a customer is using GitLab merge request, but you want them inside Salesforce to record that this customer is using Jira right now, so that your integrations can automatically surface that. Like by the way,
exactly.
last time you entered this information, I'm going to show you Jira versus GitLab issues type of thing.
Yeah, and the flip side of that is we can also use that for win-loss analysis. So if
Right,
they
right,
link
right.
it to
Yeah,
that and they
so
bring it up,
we've
they can
been
say,
asking for that.
yeah. So what this is going to help do is really help automate that process,
I like it.
because
Yeah.
one of the solutions that we're evaluating is going to be able to link. Okay, if you bring up that particular battle card and you link that to a particular opportunity, and now you can determine, okay, did we win or did we lose? Because now we don't have to worry about all these different products.
Right.
Now we can say, okay, we lost because we didn't have this particular
Yeah.
capability, or they were entrenched in this particular solution, or whatever the case may be. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, we definitely need that. The product team, I'll give you 10 seconds and give it back to you. But like the product team, we've been struggling to quantify measures of success, and we've said precisely knowing usage, well, known usage is really hard for existing customers. And
Mhm.
so we said that if the sales team is able to quantify that from their engagements, whether it's renewing something, upselling, losing a deal, like you said, then that can feed in data for us. So it's good to see that we're not the only stakeholders that's interested in that, or so that will only, push the sales team to put that as a priority. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So that's something that we're looking at pretty heavily. Like, so we're evaluating a few vendors to see how can what's available to help us scale in these areas, because it's just massive. And
Right,
it's hard
right,
to maintain, and also continue doing some of the things that we are doing now. On the external side, allowing either external competitors as well as users of other tools to be able to update or they'll send in a merge request for something that they see that either outdated or isn't correct,
right. Yeah, I
and
saw
be
that
able
with
to
Azure DevOps or something, like another month or two ago. Now that was really cool. Like a product manager from another company was
yeah
like, it's like we're almost like a federated like thing where we have all the comparisons.
yeah
It'll be crazy one day if like your job included like comparing. I mean, we have the data. Like you could even compare like a GitHub to a Bitbucket even. Like we have
right,
that.
exactly, yep,
That would be
yeah.
really interesting if we ever like focus on that. I have no idea why we would want to do that, or if that would be even a good thing. But that would just knowing like we would be able to do that. That would be pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah. So those are my main objectives.
Sure.
So the initiatives. So when I came aboard, it's like, okay, what am I going to start on first? Because there's so much, of course.
Right.
So what I'm doing is I've got two initiatives that I want to kick off, and one I'm going to need your help and some of the other PMs. So
Sure.
the first one that I'm working on is basically a blog series that I'm going to call GitLab Compare. So
Mm.
what it is, it's not going to be an extensive dissertation. It's going to be, a decent sized blog, 2-3 paragraphs
Right.
that
Right.
we focus on one of the stages monthly. So we've got material for at least 10 months, and then we'll do like an end-to-end comparison for those competitors that we compete with from an end-to-end
Right.
solution. We'll kind of bookend that. So we'll have something for a post throughout the year. So my goal is to initially focus on Microsoft Azure DevOps
Right.
and talk about that. But the goal is to use those blog posts to point them to our DevOps tools landscape comparisons page,
Right.
so that we can start getting folks pushed toward that.
Okay.
And that way we can in turn get more feedback from the folks that are not only viewing the blog post, but going and viewing the comparisons
Right.
page and
Okay.
giving us more feedback from that perspective. So the goal is to be able to use that to kind of really focus and drive the folks to that comparison page, but
Mm.
also make sure we have a regular monthly cadence on competitive information, competitive updates, and things of that nature. So this will also give us an idea of what areas do we need to update externally, what do we need to update internally,
Right.
how does that affect the battle cards and things of that nature. So all of that. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. Initially, I'm going to start one on Azure DevOps. Will be the first blog post that will link to that external site. Then I want to just hit each of the stages, from manage
Right.
to plan to create and so forth.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so that's what I'm working on. Some of the blog posts, of course, I'm going to create, some of the TMMs will create, and then I can work with you guys to hopefully either contribute to a blog post or create one directly. And
Right.
so what I would need from you is like, if you could tell me like who, in your opinion, from a PM perspective, not necessarily from a sales perspective,
Mm-hmm.
the three biggest competitors
Oh,
that
that's
you
interesting.
see and that way we can focus and say, you know what, on this particular stage, we can say, this is the competitor we want to focus on. And then we'll write a blog post on that. And we can even we can do more than one,
Right.
but the goal is to have at least one per stage,
No,
for that
yeah.
particular
I'll give
month.
you a quick point, an example, because I really like how you said like from a product perspective versus a sales perspective. Because from a sales perspective, it's obvious. It's for me, it's going to be Jira for project management, and then for portfolio management, it's going to be Agile Craft, for example, which was just acquired, and then
Right.
Clarity,
Yeah.
and then so from a sales perspective, there's those incumbents, and then
Oh, good.
like for like I presume certain blog posts would hammer those points, but from like a mind share perspective, what's new and like what are all the startups nowadays using and just generate excitement. Like if you wanted to serve that purpose, there's I've just been researching recently, and like project management tools are literally a dime a dozen out there.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so I'm just guessing the space is so, like the market is so huge that it can support so many competitors. And so when I'm looking at this, like just looking at some of the new ones that are just super fancy and then to take different approaches. For example, Trello is not even a new one anymore, but their approach is a board first approach. And then GitLab is merge request first and then became issue second. And then now it's boards third and portfolio management. And then there's other things like other tools that are really aimed at tasks management and personal task management, and then become a task tracker, and then becomes an agile board later. And then there's one really cool one that everybody's using called Notion. So, and like all the Valley companies are using it, and they just do everything. And they're very similar to our strategy in that they have, you know, a wiki, a knowledge base and stuff like that. So there's one approach there. And then yet another approach is focusing on the Google Docs collaboration piece. So getting real-time collaboration. So like from a product perspective, I'm excited about that because so many different people are coming in at the project management at different angles.
Yes.
We're coming in obviously from a source control angle because that's our legacy, right?
Right.
But like when you say that, like from a product perspective, just if you know, if one of your purpose is to explore that diversity of companies coming in, that could be a great series. Just explore all the ways, or like categorize, like these people are approaching the problem in different ways, just for project management tools, in addition to all the other things. And from a sales perspective, it's almost just boring because we're gonna have to look at Jared again. It's almost like I know what Jared does. Like we know the same old story about Jared. Everybody like it's the favorite tool that everybody loves to hate, but everybody uses.
Exactly.
It's the same tired story. Everybody knows that story, and it's like, do we have to write another blog post about it? And it's like, but like when you're saying like from a product perspective, that's just got me excited about like all the possibilities.
Oh yeah, and I feel your pain because I remember the last company that I was with, and you know, me being in product marketing. So the PMs used AHA for, you know, ideation,
right,
and for roadmaps. When we did, you know, we had to do special, you know, external branding stuff. We used Asana to work with third-party contractors. And we used Trello to track internal projects. Then we used Slack and had the Slack integration.
Right.
And what else do we have? And then I think there was one project team that was actually using GitLab internally. Right. So we had all these disparate tools. Right. Some were talking to each other, some weren't, some what the PMs preferred, some what marketing preferred, and then, you know, Marcoms and so forth. So it was, you know, it's just this sprawl of tools that, you know, basically for the same purpose, and we could have all used consolidated down to one. That was a big headache. So taking it from that project management perspective as a PM is going to be huge.
I'm excited.
And so the other thing that I wanted to do,
is
my second initiative, is I wanted to create a video series, but I want the video series, again, it's going to be competitive, but it's with the PMs, but not specific about a particular competitive tool. So for example, I would want us to concentrate on, if we're talking about product management, and if I were to interview you and say, hey, tell me about, you know, you, GitLab, what is the project management features? You know, you talk about, you know, all the cool things we can do, why it's great for business and so forth. And then we can say, what do you believe is GitLab's competitive advantage in this particular space against the majority of your competitors? So that way it doesn't become stale where we're talking about competitor X, competitor Y, competitor Z. It's about, this is what we do, this is what we do best, and this is why companies choose us over certain competitors, because we do these things and we do them well. So be able to kind of balance some of the high level specific of what we do best versus getting down into the weeds of each individual competitor, and kind of pairing that with the other stuff that we're doing from competitive. So that gives sales an additional option of what they can do. We can say, hey,
Yep.
we're X, go check this out. But oh, by the way, here's our PM. He can tell you specifically
I love it. Yeah.
this is what we do well, and this is why they choose us over certain competitors without necessarily naming a competitor. So I want to keep it as generic, so that way as a PM,
Okay,
you don't have to
right.
worry about, focusing on all these different ones. You can say, hey, this is what we do, and I know this is what we do well, and this is
Yeah,
how we
no,
do it.
I like it.
Yeah.
It really aligns with what product team is thinking right now. In particular, for me, our head of product, Mark Winsack, he's really been pushing us to articulate our vision and strategy for every stage. So for me, and so for a lot of us, definitely, I know my area, obviously, it's we know that if we do just purely a head-to-head comparison with Jira, for example, we're gonna look bad. And so,
Right.
like, our strategy is specifically not to say that, or not to avoid it, but like exactly like you said, like how do I articulate these things? And I produce many videos as well, so I love you want to take this approach, and we could do something more structured and periodic. But like I've been producing all this content the product team has, and our vision is like we have all this content so both external and internal folks can use it to articulate it. So I love how product marketing is really ramping up within GitLab, and to really have experts do this properly, as it were, and as a full-time job, right? And then and us working together. So the specific example there with Jira is that Jira is focused on project management. That's what they do best. And then I told us like on the group conversation, they're about integrations. Jira, the product itself, is not about portfolio management. It's not about CI/CD. Atlassian cares about those things, but their strategy is to apparently buy up more competitors or buy up different tools in the marketplace, and then use first-class integrations to string them together, whether those first-class integrations are Atlassian products or non-Atlassian products, whereas GitLab is markedly different. So that would be something I would talk about in video, very obviously. And then another thing I would talk in one of these videos is I would say that we're about the future of DevOps, and we're not about creating things right now. So we sometimes purposely do say no to certain features because we don't think that the companies of tomorrow will use that feature. We purposely want to encourage our users, customers, even prospects to think more about the future, to adopt these what we think are future best practices, and then how I tie that into depth. And then so that's another reason why we purposely don't compete, and we would lose anyway. So why create a feature that would lose, and why create a feature that, for example, Jira had 10 years ago when, nobody should be using that feature because it's not a best practice anyways. And then the last thing would be, another point is, I would say something like, I've said these points in videos, and I would say like, we go to a customer and we have them use source control because source control right now is super awesome in GitLab as a CI/CD. So customers, even though they don't use GitLab Plan, that's okay, because our specific strategy is actually to lean on my peers in GitLab product, because I know we're getting a lot of headway into customers because they're buying GitLab for SCM and CI/CD, and then later on they realize the benefits of GitLab Plan. So all those things I've been trying to articulate, write them down, and so I'm excited that you're thinking about these things, and we could more properly structure them in whatever content format.
Cool.
Tell me.
Awesome. Yeah. So I will get things. I'll get something set up, and I'll create an issue, and link you to that so you can follow it. Then we can set up a time within the next month or so, and just get that scheduled, and then we just go from there.
Yeah, you just carve out whatever you want to do first. You can start off with a broad issue. I can just send you all the links of everything I have already. The direction page actually has most of the stuff that I talked about. I'll send you that right after this call. But yeah, if you have something very specific you want to do, just ping me on issue and I'll respond. If you wanted to do some more broader brainstorming thing, ping me there, and then I'll just take your lead, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate it. Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Have you? Are you just doing the rounds and talking to other product folks, or what's the?
Yeah, I'm kind of making the rounds. So I realized when I joined, I had been like I said, drinking through the fire hose, absorbing everything within the company. Then it was just a matter of of, okay, I haven't talked to any of the PMs. I said,
Well, there's a lot to do at GitLab, so I don't blame you.
yeah. So I was like, I need to at least set up some coffee chats and talk
Sure,
to each of the
yeah.
PMs, understand each of their, pain points and
Right.
what, we can do from a marketing perspective, to make you guys' jobs easier. So
Definitely.
yeah. And then just to get to know you guys as well. So
Yeah,
didn't want to wait until May, until we hit that. So.
Yeah, to contribute. That's right.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I'll offer you one last point, which is every Tuesday we have a product meeting. So I definitely encourage you to continue to do these one-on-ones. But
Cool.
whenever you want to have more like an announcement type communication, or you just want like a broader group, we have a product meeting every Tuesday. It should be on the Purple Team meeting calendar. Let me double check. And so you should be able to add yourself there. And lots of folks, not just just throughout the organization, if they want a product audience or the entire product audience, they just insert yourself there, add an agenda item. If you're not comfortable doing that, use me, and then I'll introduce yourself. If you are comfortable, just put your name there, and tell some, like, type in the product channel that say, yeah, I inserted myself, and we'll definitely welcome you to explain what you're up to. And then so if you want that to be more efficient or more of an announcement type communication, that's a great avenue to do so.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, let me know if you have anything else, but if not, just hashtag product channel, just ping me there. And then other folks will respond as well. So that's the best way to move forward with things, and ping me in individual issues as well. Happy to help.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a good, I guess, weekend. It's already Thursday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, wow, it is already Thursday. Hey, you too. We'll catch up again soon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice meeting you. All right, bye now.
Bye-bye.